Hi again. We're here for another installment of book reviews by Russell Andresen, or Russell Andresen Reviews, whichever one you're more comfortable with. Before we get started, I'd like to go through the perfunctory task of reminding all of you that you can find my books on, let's get it in focus. Let's see, do we got it here? FantasticDreamsBooks.com. Check or money order payable to Russell Andresen / author, P.O. Box 73650, Noonan, Georgia 30271. An exciting feature that has just been added to the page is that it now is equipped with PayPal. So if that makes it easier to you, you don't feel like going through a P.O. box, that's fine, I understand. Some people would rather just do things from the ease of their home. I'm a person who has no problem sending a check or anything like that. That's just me. On that site, you can find copies of Are You Kosher? Memoirs of a Jewish Vampire, both hardcover and paperback. That is a full frontal assault on political correctness, and it is told through the eyes of a 6,000-year-old Jewish vampire who speaks of his life and his experiences amongst us mortals and the things that we do that drive him crazy while trying to come to terms with himself, and all the while living with a Jewish mother and grandmother who are also vampires. My fellow Jews out there will understand the pain that entails. But so will my Italian friends, so what do I know? You will also find my dark comedy, which was released this year, The Queen and I, which is about a down-on-his-luck Broadway playwright who encounters the ghost of a 1920s drag queen who wants to help him write the next big thing to seek his revenge against the eccentric billionaire who has ruined his life. And finally, the one that has at least my universe up in flames, and I'm sure you've heard of it before, and I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Instagram, or any of the other sites that I'm a part of, and now I'm blogging also on Blogger, A Crude World. You can find this in hardcover and paperback as well. The Queen and I is the only one that you can only find in paperback. As far as ebooks are concerned, or anything like that, Kindle, ebooks, all that, you'll have to go through Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Google or whoever it is that you order from. I do not offer them electronically personally. I would also like to bring your attention to the fact that I am beginning my own campaign against online bullying. My attention was brought more to it through my own experiences of just the verbal attacks from people who hide behind the safety of their own computer, who don't even have the balls to show their faces. And I was one of those who used to say, so block them, or unfriend them, or scroll past them. But for a 41-year-old man, if it's not that easy, I can only imagine what it's doing to children. So this campaign's really not about adults, it's about children. And I'm talking from grade school through high school through college. Because let's face it, in college, you graduate, you're what, 21, 22? You're still a child. You're a baby. You know nothing. God bless you. Good luck with the rest of your life. But anyway, I may not agree with her politics, but I do find her to be a very trustworthy person. And through Ellen DeGeneres, I found the Pacer Center. And that is who I have decided to back. It is Pacer's National Bullying Prevention Center, or NBPC. They can be found at pacer.org. Their phone number is 952-838-9000. Any donation you could make to the cause would be greatly appreciated. Now, let's go to the task at hand. We have done, so far in this series, we have done 3 reviews. we have reviewed Go Set a Watchman, which I gave 3.5 stars to, which for me is a good score. It's a very good score. 2.5 is an average because I scale on a 1 through 5. But I am a very tough scorer, believe me when I tell you this. I reviewed The Lions of Lucerne by Brad Thor, and I gave that 4 stars. That was an excellent book, which I highly recommend. And the latest one was The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks, which I did give a 5-star rating to. It was that good. Tonight we are going to tackle the first book in a series that most of you know through the HBO series Game of Thrones. And it is by George R.R. Martin, and it is the first in the series. Let's get this properly in focus here. It is a Game of Thrones. Now, some people have called George R.R. Martin the best fantasy novelist of all time. They say that he is the best living fantasy novelist. They say that the Game of Thrones books are the best fantasy books ever written. Wrong, wrong, and wrong. But let me clarify myself on that. The book A Game of Thrones I enjoyed immensely. I found it to be a very enjoyable book. It was a little wordy for my liking. I am a person who believes in thrift. I like economy of words. I don't need 4 pages to tell me what color the leaves of the trees are, which is a major problem I have with the likes of Stephen King's writing. But we'll talk about him at another time. The book itself, A Game of Thrones, was excellent. I firmly believe that based off of the first book of that series, A Game of Thrones, that George R.R. Martin rightfully took his place towards the head of modern fantasy authors, along with the likes of Terry Brooks and Piers Anthony, but I would not go so far as to say that he has reached the level of Terry Brooks yet. He's nowhere near, in my personal opinion. He's a very good author. You would think you were actually reading a book that was written decades ago, like in the time of J.R.R. Tolkien. If you love the series, you will most likely love the books, but you're going to notice almost immediately that the series and the books are 2 very different entities. For one thing, I happen to find that the series is enjoyable, it's entertaining on its own merits. They take way too many liberties with the script in the TV series. Gratuitous nudity and sex scenes and even use of language, which, I mean, I'm not a prude. Those sorts of things don't bother me. But if they're not in the book, you don't need to have it. It seems like everyone's screwing the other guy, both metaphorically and physically. In the book, it's not the case. The first book, A Game of Thrones, was excellent. I truly loved all of it. And I will tell you that for those of you who do know the dwarf Tyrion, I'm fairly certain that amongst fans of the TV show, he's probably the favorite character. And I will tell you this, he was hands down my favorite character in the book. He was the most interesting. The way the chapters are written, each chapter focuses around a character. So one chapter will be called Sansa, and that chapter will be revolved around the eldest daughter of Lord Eddard Stark, of the Starks of Winterfell. There will be another chapter called Tyrion, and that will be about him. And so on, and so on, and so on. It depends on who that particular chapter is about. A Game of Thrones the first book in the series. I found this one to be absolutely enjoyable. I felt that for a book of its size, over 700 pages, that it wasn't as daunting as some people who are not used to reading longer books may find. The language it's a little difficult if you're not used to reading authors of that particular style. So it might take getting used to. All in all, I am going to give A Game of Thrones 3.5 stars. I will not give it 4 stars. I will give it 3.5 stars. I highly recommend it. I recommend the entire series, and I will get to those in future reviews. But for now, I will show again A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Definitely worth the read. 3.5 out of 5 stars. I felt that it will make you rethink the series even a little bit. I think that you'll probably say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to forget everything I read and I'm just going to watch now. Because otherwise you're going to drive yourself crazy. That's the best bet you can possibly do. So until next time, in closing, we will just cover up again, once again. This is the website, fantasticdreamsbooks.com. If you order through there, you can either send check or money order payable to Russell Andresen /author at P.O. Box 73650, Noonan, Georgia 30271. Or you can now order through PayPal, which I just added to the site. All 3 books, A Crude World, The Queen and I, and My Baby. And there's going to be a very big announcement about this one coming up in the next couple of months. Are You Kosher? Memoirs of a Jewish Vampire, my very first novel. There's going to be a huge announcement regarding that book. Something that none of you see coming. Nobody knows this one. The only ones who know this one are my immediate relatives. And then also for the National Bullying Campaign, which I am proud to become a part of, Pacers National Bullying Prevention Center, NBPC, Pacer at pacer.org. I encourage all of you to go to them and make whatever kind of donation you can. I believe that there is a section on the page where you can contact them and maybe share a story. I know I did. And I think that it's a cause worth going after, because in this day and age, it's just, I can only imagine what it's like to be a child nowadays. It's really, it makes you think in biblical terms of the last days, with critical times hard to deal with. It is not a good time. So anyway, on that note, I'm going to leave you with the high once again. The review this week was George R.R. Martin's A Game of Thrones, the first book in the series of Ice and Fire. I give it 3.5 stars. It is definitely worth the read. Until next time, thank you, good night, good luck, and God bless.